we're talking about Transformers 4 because it just released last weekend and came out to 300 million worldwide box office sales. Now, that's not a record for a movie, but that is huge. But really what it is a record for a China import movie. It has the highest debut of any movie not made in China ever. It made $90 million there over the weekend, where it only made $100 million here in the U.S., so that's pretty crazy.
How many movies has China allowed into their country, though? Because I know they've been pretty strict, at least in years past. They've recently started to open up to more imported media like games and other things, but have they had a long history of allowing all movies? I would think.
Why would you ask me that question when you know I don't have an answer for it? Come on, man.
Here we go. We're going to make... Clearly, the research that I did shows that they don't. This has been a fairly recent thing. There's not very many movies that have made it to the market, so that might be part of it. Because
also, I can't imagine
90 million in sales though for China. We're talking about a country with over 1 billion people, so that's a huge market.
Yes. But we're probably talking about a market that probably has less movie theaters than the United States does in California. Just saying.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
All of this is unbased fact. So, but I want to talk about this because Transformers 4 is a movie that I haven't seen yet. Have you seen it yet?
I have not.
I do want to see it. I just do not want to see it in theaters because it is about 2 hours and 40 minutes long. So I am not a big fan of 3-hour movies in movie theaters. It's just a little bit too long for me to sit there.
I'm actually a big fan of the longer movies in movie theaters because I figure, hey, I just paid $10, $15 to be entertained for a while. If I get 90-minute movies, I feel gypped usually.
But if that 90 minutes is action-packed and a thriller and you love it, or it doesn't even have to be action-packed, it just has to get the point across of what you're looking for in this movie, that's great. When it's Transformers, I mean, Transformers 3 Dark of the Moon, I believe, was about the same running time, and I accidentally went to see that in HD, the IMAX 3D, and I had wished it was over at an hour and a half because there was no point. They were just doing stuff over and over and over, just repeating the same thing. And
really? I like 3. I thought 3 was pretty good. I was entertained.
Again, where did you see it? Did you see it in the theaters?
This is true. I actually, I did not. I won't say how or why I saw it, but no, I did not see it in the theaters. I wouldn't mind though too much.
Well, apparently there's some sort of mystery behind. Is it because you're hiding that there really is aliens on the dark side of the moon, like in the plot?
No, we're not going to go into that.
Just say no, and we're moving on. So, and it's interesting because Transformers 4, again, they are bringing in Mark Wahlberg, and they kind of set this up as a sort of semi-reboot, but not really because it's sort of continuing the stories from the last one, but they're bringing in a new cast for it. I will be happy to watch this movie when it comes out on DVD. I will Redbox this thing one of the first days that it comes out, and I will enjoy the 3 hours of movie sitting in front of my TV where I can pause it, get up, go to the bathroom. I'm hungry. I want to make something in the middle of it because it's 3 hour long movie. I can do that, and I've only paid $1.27 to do so. I will be perfectly happy doing that. I just don't know if I'm happy enough to sit in theaters.
What I'm hearing from your complaints, though, is that what you really desire is to change the intermission time for movies, because there is like an official one, something a little over 3 hours they have to put in intermission time. You want 3-hour movies to have an intermission time.
No, I don't, because that intermission time, when I get up and go get food or go to the bathroom, I'm also paying another $20 for that food. So no, I'd rather be at home doing it myself.
Maybe you need to buy a movie theater.
Well, hey, if you'd like to help me buy a movie theater, hit us up at wordsmyface@gmail.com, wordsmyface on Twitter, wordsmyface.com, thanks. But yeah, unless you really do want to help me buy a movie theater, which I can't imagine many people do, yeah, that's not going to happen. But really, I'm concerned about originality in movies. Is this all we're seeing? All these sequels come out and they make bazillions of dollars. Is there a reason for studios to make anything else other than another sequel or another reboot, or then do a movie and then sequel, reboot, sequel?
Well, it's called milking it, right? So as long as they're still making the sales, they'll keep making them, putting out the sequels. But they get to a point, like a saturation point, where it's no longer going to happen for a series. Like a series is going to get played to death. Sometimes they get revitalized a little bit, but you remember, like another example, like the Fast and the Furious series. That got to a point at one point. I think that they did just like straight to DVD movies, right? But then they
No,
kind of brought in some new people and they brought it back. Really?
no, that never went straight to
Three
DVD.
or four?
No, those were all in theaters, I believe.
They should have been straight to DVD.
Yes, number 3 should have been straight to DVD. I totally agree. No disagreement here.
I was surprised it was in theaters. All right, well, whatever.
Tokyo Drift, where I did like the cars in that movie, I did not like the movie itself. So, but yeah, I mean, all these studios
movies though have done that. Like Saw. Saw got played out so long and did eventually go to straight to DVD. I think at some point they also came back and did a theater run for one of them. But
well, one of the show's favorite movies actually followed that that course, and that is In the Name of the King. Because In the Name of King 2 and 3 were both straight to DVD. Yeah.
Really? I thought they had full or at least I thought 2 had a full theater release.
I don't think so.
Like
I think
for like a week.
I think they realized how horrible that movie franchise was and didn't understand why that production company wanted to keep making them. So they said, no, we're not going to show you in our theaters. Not going to do that anymore. So, yeah. But and in ways, I almost think that this isn't the worst thing in the world, because if you look at it, a lot of these movies, that they have big budgets. I'm sure Transformers 4 had at least $100 million plus of a budget. But that makes so much money that these studios can take some risks on some littler movies. And so in a way, yeah, it gets boring after a while, but
Will they take those risks?
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. If you have this much money just flying around, why wouldn't you look for a $15 million movie that you can invest in and maybe turn it into a $100 million movie, get a great return? And they might not have made that investment had they not made $1 bazillion on Transformers or the ilk. You know, I mean, like the Die Hard franchise that has had so many Die Hard movies, and I believe one of those has been a horrible movie of the week. So, yeah, they haven't kept up the same level that they normally do. But again, it makes money. They can put that into other projects. So, I'm torn between: is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
Well, to be fair, we're talking about seeing a whole lot of sequels. We are seeing somewhat more sequels than I think we used to. Partially, at least at A level. I mean, B movies, I don't know, they probably had a bunch of billions, but at A level we're seeing more, but also it's just been more time. There's more things to make sequels off of. Things have started hitting the right nerves to see, like, oh, this is a good series, right? And to run with that. But there are plenty of other new franchises or just new, like, one-off movies that some of which I wouldn't necessarily call the most original, their storylines anyway. I think a lot of these ones that do have these sequels actually have more original storylines per movie than some of these other movies that do come out. But there's plenty of those others, they just don't sell as well. So,
yeah, that's
like,
true.
they're still there. We just don't talk about them because we don't care about them.
We do not care about your movies. But no, but yeah, I mean, it's an interesting phenomenon, because you kind of mentioned it. The whole medium of movies has really only been around for about 100 years, less than that. I mean, not even 100 years quite. So you look at books. I mean, I can tell you multiple book series that go on for like 10, 12 volumes. So I don't know, maybe it's
and book series that or book legends or whatever that eventually get a new author 100 years later or whatever that people revitalize. And we start to see that like in a more congested form. Like there's a bunch of these remakes now happening that have been happening for the last few years of movies, particularly from the 80s. Like there was RoboCop remake, Red, bunch of others. So.
And the RoboCop remake, not a bad movie if you get it from Redbox, but I wouldn't recommend paying full price for it.
Okay.
That's my semi-official review of RoboCop. But yes,
RoboCop, Beverly Hills Cop, huh? Yeah.
That hasn't happened yet, but it needs to.
Beverly Hills Cop.
Beverly Robo Hills Cop.
I don't know about that one, but because that would be like the Robot of Hills, the Hilda robot.
Hey, people will know. People will know what it's about.
Okay.
But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. Let us know what you think. Is this trend of all these sequels and reboots and more sequels good, or does it just get you too boring, and it kind of casts a shadow over a lot of the newer stuff that you might want to watch? Let us know in comments down below. You know, hit us up at Words for My Face on Twitter. Let us know what you think. I'd like to hear what the people out there think. Let's bring this one to the people. There's my fist. It's hard to get the fist in the camera sometimes. Okay, fine, be that way. But yeah.